it's funny because, through this dynamic, through that kind of relationship, it's almost like Amazon has become this sort of billion-dollar indie comic publisher. So I was like, what's it like partnering with a billion-dollar indie comic publisher?
So it's funny you say that because in this world, Amazon is sort of the enemy that we're all directly involved in. But the book is technically published by Massive Publishing, who
Mhm.
I have. In order to tell this full story, I have to go back a few years. So
All right.
Massive Publishing used to be called Whatnot Publishing. Whatnot Publishing is the publishing arm of the corporation known as Whatnot Incorporated. Whatnot Incorporated is like an auction website, much like eBay, but it's dedicated solely to um, auction shows and just for the collectibles market. So people selling clothes, coins, Pokemon cards, all kinds of cards, of course, comics. And so people create channels and then they have shows like you and I doing this, but imagine as if while we talked, you and I sold comics. And then
Okay.
whenever people could buy, if for those who have never used Whatnot, it became a huge sensational boom. Billions, now it's a multi-billion dollar company. It just sort of this offshoot arm builds to where in addition to doing this thing, they also started publishing. And that formed Whatnot Publishing that then sort of wanted to break away from the Whatnot brand, even though it's all still the same thing. Because there's Whatnot gets sort of a split. I'm not sure why they did the change. I'm speculating here, but uh, I'm sure it was involved. That Whatnot is a very controversial thing, I want to say, in like the comic space, where it's kind of like Amazon, to where people feel as if it's um, taking away from the authenticity, so to speak, of the market or like the old
And
way
why do you
or
think
something
people
like
think
that.
so? Because yeah, a lot of I talk to some creators and they see it as a threat versus like a resource. Why do you think that is?
I think that if you, I mean, we could go deep into the controversial aspects of it because I see AI in the same sense. It's like what people are afraid of or what people are concerned with are real concerns.
Uh-huh.
But I always go into, much like the story delves into, evil wins in this world. like, uh, and it's not to be a downer, but it's really just like the whole system of all this stuff, especially in America, is profit first. It's
Mm.
not like this is a horrible thing or a bad thing or that capitalism is the enemy. It's just that that's the system we live in. Like so that system overrules all other systems. But unfortunately, the outcomes or like some of the negative symptoms, so to speak, of that system are all the things you would normally think of as negative. And the reason people trash on corporations for when you put profit motives above everything else,
Mm-hmm.
then you get things like Comixology, like a great app that turns into trash and just nothing. And now we have to buy Kindle or whatever. And none of us, it's like those are one of the negative outcomes of this system that we live in. However, um, there are positive aspects to all this stuff. Like now anybody can write and draw a comic, publish it themselves with zero barrier to entry, and you can compete with the big dogs that are
Yeah.
also on Amazon because it's where everybody's at. It's just what's so easy. And I think that the reason people just trash on it is just like anything else from Walmart is you just watching the old ways, the things that you enjoyed get crushed in front of
Mm-hmm.
you, and you see it as the powers that be just the rich get richer and consume everything, and they're right. Like it's just like I don't really have a defense for it. It's just this is the world we live in, and you could just jump in front of that train and get crushed by it and be the martyr that
Mm.
just. But at the same time, we can sort of mold with it and try to utilize the positive aspects and break away from the parts that I don't know that might be truly evil. But there's sections that I feel are just part of the system, and then there's also just bad actors in the space. And when
Mm.
bad actors come apart, we can push them away.
Come on, Benny, man. The kid is a L7 Weenie.